So, hello everyone. Welcome back to Nicole Myths, Astrology, and Tarot. I was guided to do this reading originally as an identifying third parties reading, and there is none. Okay, so if you are guided to this with a person on your heart and soul in conscious awareness, right? Then understand there is no actual third party. Even if they're in the experience, they're irrelevant. Okay? They're irrelevant. And I'm not talking about the person on your mind and ego, right? I'm talking about your actual heart and soul person. There's no third party influence. Okay. With that said, here's the energy going on between you guys. Okay? What you guys are dealing with. And energy that brings you into relation with each other. Okay? Guidance energy for each other. Person number one comes out with the Ace of Cups, the King of Swords, and the Two of Wands. So this person's energy is that of compassion, analysis, and genesis, or the generation of something versus the destruction of something. Okay, so person number one is a builder. And with the King of Swords, they have a very high perspective on things. Okay, they see how things pan out in the distance, right? It's like a eagle eye view. You could see things way ahead. I think this person analyzes from a bigger picture and naturally overflows. Okay, the Ace of Cups actually came out for person number one twice. Person number one has a refusal to repress themselves. They do not judge other people for their choices. And they refuse to be the destruction or that which crumbles. Okay, so person number one, in all fairness, is a bit of an energetic powerhouse. Okay. Now, the energy surrounding them, the outer energy surrounding them, mirrors that inner energy. So there isn't really an outer influence on person number one. Okay, they got the Three of Swords reversed, the Five of Swords reversed, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ace of Cups, right? Now, the Ace of Cups, even though I didn't pull from this deck, it immediately reminded me of this card. She offers the sacred wine, so drink. Okay. Whoever person number one has the type of energy that if you were actually in a relationship with person number one, I think you'd be high on life. I think you'd feel like you were love drunk. I think that this person has a special kind of love magic about them. Okay, an inner love magic. All right, with the Ace of Cups coming out twice, I think they overflow and have a ton of love to give and offer. Okay, this is someone who is extremely compassionate and nurturing, and they see things from a perspective that most people don't. Okay, so when I get into the energy of the demons haunting them, stalking them, or trying to influence them, we got the Eight of Cups, or the Heretic card, and the Pope, which is the Sacred Sphere. Now, a heretic is someone who technically believes things that goes against the grain, or most others wouldn't do or think or allow. Okay, like they might deal with what people would judge them for as like religious or spiritual hearsay, right? It's all hearsay. There's no fact to it. It's just theory. It's bullshit. It's woo-woo, whatever. They go against the grain. And to top it off, they believe in the sacredness of what is traditional masculine and feminine values. Okay, they might believe in marriage. They might believe in the sanctity of family. They might believe that stability comes from within the devotion to learning and teaching, right? Being both the sacred teacher and the sacred student. This is someone who definitely believes things that most others would probably judge them for. Okay. They might have also taken a serious sacred vow with the self. Okay. And the demon haunting them is making them question whether or not they should be like everybody else. If they should be more like everybody else to be more accepted. Okay. I think that there's a lot of judgment that this person takes from other people, and yet is very authentic, right? This person's energy is a fucking powerhouse of perspective and love, right? This person has conquered heartbreak. This person has conquered the need to argue. Okay, this person has no desire to argue with the Five of Swords in the reverse. There's not a fighting bone in their body. And that they have enough perspective to just simply walk away from people that are at odds with them or at odds with themselves. Okay, so person number one, I guess you could say, doesn't necessarily just overflow compassion and love to other people, but compassion and love to themselves. Okay, this is a person who is definitely in alignment with what self-love really is. They know how to love themselves enough to accept who they are and love themselves enough to let someone else love them. Okay. This is someone who's released 3 of Swords energy, 5 of Swords energy, totaling 8 swords, which is the release of the mental prison. This person, whoever person number one is not energetically stuck. Okay. But they take a lot of heat from other people and feel judged by other people for believing in the sacredness of self and partnership. Okay, they take a lot of slack for their beliefs because a lot of people don't understand them, right? It reminds me like people use the word crazy to define things they don't understand. Like people might call them crazy. People might say they're this or they're that, and it's because other people don't understand what they understand. And it's probably a shame, because if they did, they'd be in some awesome fucking energy. Okay. Now, person number 2, we got the Heart of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords, clarified by the 8 of Cups and the Innocence of Cups that further came out with the 3 of Wands. So person number 2 is very aware of the truth in their heart. Okay. And wants to walk away from that which is unfulfilling back towards person number 1. Okay, because the 8 of Cups, the bear, the energy that is protective inside their soul, is moving towards person number 1. So I feel like person number 2 is accepting that maybe certain things about their reality or their life are in fact unfulfilling, or it always feels like something's missing. There's something missing, right? And with the Innocence of Cups and the 3 of Wands, I think person number 2 is having to apologize to the self for maybe making a mistake, even if it was a small mistake, right? Maybe they assumed, or maybe they acted in a way that the energy of person number 1 completely reflected back, right? I think person number 2 is being given a divine window of opportunity, okay, with the 3 of Wands, I think that because the Innocence of Cups is typically tied to forgiveness or apology, or some kind of compassion connected communication, like understanding from the other person's perspective. I think if person number 2 did something or didn't do something that ended up getting a reaction out of person number 1, I think this is a great opportunity for person number 2 to put themselves in person number 1's shoes. Okay? Especially if the roles were reversed, like how would they feel if it was the other way around and person number 1 did it to them? Or if anybody else they cared about did it to them, right? Because these are 2 people that are on each other's heart and soul, right? I think person number 2 is being given a divine opportunity, a window to let the sun rise, so to speak, to tap into their light or their positive attributes and actually seize an opportunity to be in the compassion energy that is natural to person number 1. Okay. Person number 2, with the energies that are surrounding them or influencing them from the outer, we have the 7 of Swords reversed, the 8 of Wands reversed, the Moon reversed, and the 8 of Coins reversed. Okay. So we've got a lot of 8s on person number 2's side. Unfortunately, 3 of them are reversed. Okay. So if you count the 8 and the 18, it's reversed. But what's going on with person number 2 is the release of what is essentially the lies they're telling themselves, okay? Or the lies they've been taught to believe. The 7 of Swords in reverse. 7 of Swords is my least favorite card in the entire fucking deck. So seeing it in reverse is great because it's letting go of energetic thieves, right? The 7 of Swords in reverse is letting go of liars, deceivers, and energetic thieves, okay? However, person number 2 is also having a really hard time hearing their intuition. Okay, the mind may be really loud. They're not necessarily privy to divine synchronicity. It's not their forte, okay? They may also be healing whatever their moon sign is. With the moon in reverse, it's Piscean energy naturally, and it could represent whatever their moon sign is and whatever house that falls in. Okay, especially because it's clarifying the 7 of Swords. It might be a partnership issue because the 7th house is the house of partnerships. Okay, the moon, this is their fears wanting to run rampant. Okay, because if you take a good close look at this moon card, if I flip it up right for you, it's the dark wolf. Okay, almost like a werewolf. And it's chained but breaking the chains, and it came out in the reverse. There's a part of them that would maybe naturally want to rip, tear, and roar in anger or frustration over the circumstance, and yet that's being released. It's almost like person number 2 can't be angry, and what they're focusing on now is a release of fear. Okay, a release of fear or the release of intimidation or being intimidated. Okay, I feel like person number 2, with the release of the moon and the rise of the sun and the 3 of Wands, has a serious opportunity to make an effort, but with the 8 of Coins in the reverse, I think they're a little frozen. Okay? Person number 2 might be a little bit frozen and don't know what to do, because their typical response is the moon, right? Or the werewolf, to get angry and rip it to shreds, cut it off and make it non-existent. Okay, that might be their instinctual response, and yet that's not the response they're guided to. And so they're a little frozen because they don't actually know what to do then. Okay, and so person number 2 is kind of being called on the light attributes of themselves. Okay. The demon haunting them, stalking them, or influencing them. Okay. We got the 6 of Swords, which is the debate card, and the 10 of Swords, which is the decline. They may have a lot of people's opinions in their head. Well, you can't go for person number 1, they're this. You can't go for person number 1, they're that. What are you, nuts? What are you, crazy? Person number 1, that'll never work, right? There's a lot of because there's a crowd of people around a table, and the thinking man in the foreground is hearing all these other voices in their head, and yet they're not really focusing on any one of them. They can hear them all. I don't think person number 2 can help but disagree, but it doesn't change the fact that they have a lot of voices in their head, including voices that aren't necessarily related to person number 1. It could be, you're not good enough. You'll fail. You'll fuck it up. You fuck everything up. You make a mess of everything. You ain't going to keep person number 1. You'll just create a disaster. You'll fuck it up. You fuck everything up. You're only going to be a disappointment. You're only going to fail. The 10 of Swords with a decline card shows a empty house for sale. This person might seriously be afraid of growing old alone or losing everything. They might be afraid of really being alone. And they're obviously connected heart and soul, right, to person number 1. So this fear of ruin, right, because in other decks, the 10 of Swords is ruin. It's self-betrayal. It's self-sabotage, okay? Lots of swords. Lots of swords. This is a lot of mental fuckery that person number 2 deals with. They overthink, they overanalyze, they don't know how their actions in the present are going to affect the future, and so therefore they freeze. They freeze. They don't know what move to make, and so they freeze. They don't know how to see the long term, okay? Which might be why they depend on other people's opinions so much. And yet, they can't shake the fact that they're drawn to person number 1, no matter what the voices inside their head are saying. Person number 1 is who they want. They want to go to person number 1. The 8 of Cups, the bear walking towards person number 1. Not only do they feel like person number 1 would protect their heart space, that person number 1, if they were to meet person number 1 on their energy, person number 1 would never betray them. They would essentially be love drunk. Love drunk, okay? Like, don't need nothing else, completely high off life with person number 1. I think person number 2 needs to get out of their head a little bit. Person number 1 is having a hard time standing their ground and holding their own sacred vows, right? wondering if they should be more like everybody else. But person number one, I don't feel could ever be like anybody else. Okay. Person number one is in such an authentic space that they're being challenged to drop what is essentially into lower vibration to match the rest of the world, and that's just not where they're at. Like the Wheel of Fortune that comes out clarifying person number one, the sacred wine so drink kind of energy, that double ace of cups energy, they don't make many people like person number one. Okay. It's like seeing a field filled with crystal, and person number one is the diamond in the field. Like there's a bunch of crystals hanging around. But it would take a really keen spiritual eye to identify the diamond in the field of crystal and see its value. Because the diamond refuses to be just another crystal. It's a fucking diamond. Okay? That's the energy that I get off of person number one. And I think person number one knows their value as a diamond, which is why they're holding on to it so tightly. When everybody else is trying to convince them, no, you're a crystal because you're in a world of crystals. No, you have to be a crystal like the rest of us. You can't be a diamond. Nobody gives a fuck that you're a diamond. Be a crystal. Just be a fucking crystal and be happy being a crystal. And person number one can't wrap their head around the idea that they would be like everybody else. That's what they battle. They battle whether or not they should say fuck it and just be like everybody else, when their natural value is so much higher. Okay? The world is trying to depreciate the value of person one. I think person two sees person one's value. I don't think person two is stupid. I think person two absolutely sees the value of person number one. The problem is they got a bunch of people in their head trying to convince person number two that, person number one, they're not a diamond. But person number two is looking at person number one like, no, but they are a diamond. I could tell. They're different. They shine different. They shine different. They're cut different. They're not from the same cloth. They're cut different. There's something about person number one that person number two sees the value of that nobody else has seen yet. Nobody else has noticed it yet. And nobody else has picked up person number one yet. They're still lying in a field of crystal in the world. No one's actually picked them up and saw their value and claimed the diamond. And person number two is like, do I believe what I'm seeing? Do I believe what I'm seeing? Did I really find a diamond? Yes, person number two, you did. Yes, you did. And yet, like I said, person number two has all of these different voices inside their head that are trying to convince them that person number one is not special. They have no added value. And to just leave them there for someone else to pick up. I don't think person number two can get the shine of person number one out of their head, though. Because they can look around at the rest of the shit around them and they're just like, no one else's energy, no one else's vibe, no one else's character, no one else's value even comes close to person number one. No one compares. They're on another fucking level. I think person number two sees it. Person number two sees it. They're just having a hard time believing what they fucking found, or that it fell into their path or their lap and it's meant for them to pick up. No one else saw the value yet. Why? Because it was meant for person number two to find the diamond. Ultimately, person number one was meant for person number two. Okay? the energy between them. The guidance card I pulled from my Crystal Mandala Oracle. We got Goddess Maya and Ruby Aura Quartz with Searing Presence. Okay. It says, we bring you the empowerment of searing presence. This empowerment enables you to see truth unveiled, naked divinity in all its beauty and mystery. In your willingness to become present, you shall witness the truth that will set your spirit free and make your heart come alive with divine love. No lie, deception, fear, or agenda remains hidden in searing presence, the ruthless compassion of which distills pure truth. With this empowering, you are going to see what you need to see. You are going to be able to see the truth that there is only ever love seeking to free, heal, and discover itself. You will feel the grace that permeates your life and assists all beings. All impatience, doubt, uncertainty, and confusion will give way, becoming soft like wax melted by a lit candle, and only the beautiful light of truth shall remain. Sometimes, in our fear and resistance, we step away from the very thing we need to look at most closely. We are perhaps afraid of what we might see. Maybe we are afraid that we will witness something terrible about ourselves, that we are not a good person, not lovable or worthy. Or perhaps we are afraid to see a truth we can no longer avoid, and we know we will need to take action that we don't feel quite confident or trusting enough to take, but must. Although some truths can be uncomfortable for the mind, there is a deeper truth that brings only comfort. We access that depth of insight through searing presence. What this means is a willingness to stay put, delve deeper, not judge, analyze, or complain, and instead just bear steady, neutral witness to what is. In that space of attentive but relaxed reflection, the truth rises up to the surface. The more soft, loving, and yet unflinching your gaze, the more swiftly this can happen. No matter how fearful the mind may be of what could be revealed, the deepest truth is always that of love. What you will see will cure you of shame or doubt, fear, and resistance. You will understand that at the core of all pain, love is there, pushing you to break free. When the oracle of searing presence comes to you, you are being asked to give yourself an opportunity to know a deeper truth. You are ready for it, and it will help you. This could relate to a situation that causes you confusion, pain, and struggle, leaving you so fatigued that you wonder if you'll ever be able to get through it. It could also refer to a matter not so pressing, and yet, in the revelation of love's truth, you'll understand why your life is the way it is with so much more peace. You'll swap shame for being impressed with your own spirit. You may question your ability to find the truth, but it will find you. You are wise and strong, and you will be able to recognize it. Perhaps you already do. And all you need is confirmation of your insight from this oracle now. Let it give you that confirmation. Truth, just like the divine love it reveals, can be confronting. Although it will ultimately bring you into greater freedom, joy, and happiness, in the short term, truth may not feel comfortable. You may feel relief that you finally see what is, and then some anxiety, excitement, fear, or enthusiasm, or a combination of these feelings and more about the truth you perceive. The implications of it on your lifestyle and relationships, work, and family may be difficult to accept. Your mind may be trying to control the impact of the divine truth in your world. This is understandable, but not particularly realistic. When truths are revealed, your beliefs, even your foundations, your whole way of living, can feel challenged. The greater the truth revealed, the more likely you'll feel your world shake. You may see yourself and your world in an entirely new way when the truth shows up. This may happen slowly but surely as truth erodes the illusions that have kept you trapped in a worldview too small for your soul. It may also happen suddenly, as though a shocking jolt of divine lightning has ripped through your world and instantly everything looks different. You may need some time to come to terms with the shock. You will also need patience as you integrate your new insights and allow that new way of understanding to translate into different belief systems, choices, behaviors, and lifestyle. Understand there is no need to control the process. Truth, when it is given, is love. And when love prevails, it is for the greatest good of all beings. It is safe to trust in the truth revealed to you, to honor it as you act from your heart. Remember that you are an amazing spiritual being. And even though your human, animalistic body and mind often wonder what on earth you are up to, you are doing a really good job. It may seem like quite a leap of faith at this moment for you to believe any of this, but that doesn't mean it's not true. It just means you need some searing presence to be able to witness the truth of love. Open yourself to healing and let go of doubt, shame, or judgment. You are divinity unfolding. Of course, you know what you're doing. Of course, you know what you're doing. An affirmation. May I be empowered to witness reality as a revelation of unconditional love. May I resonate at a level of loving awareness which soothes and comforts the mind and body. May I become capable of perceiving through the clear eyes of my spiritual being. May I see truth and know that truth is love. May all beings bear witness to the unconditional love that is their nature and their ultimate reality. I choose of my own free will, through this and any lifetime and through all layers of my entire being, to release self-judgment and belief in fear as a reality. I open myself to perceive and receive the deepest, truest reality that is unconditional love. May this truth bring all beings comfort and peace. May divine love bring the gift of searing presence to the hearts and minds of all who suffer. May unconditional love be consciously known and received by all according to divine grace and in service to the divine feminine wisdom evolving through humanity at this time. So be it. My searing presence unveils divine love as the ultimate reality, bringing peace and comfort to the world. When one person heals, it creates a ripple. It creates a ripple. I think person number one and person number two, I think you're meant to absolutely love each other. I think you're absolutely meant to love each other. I think person number one needs to hold their ground against all the hearsay and all the words or ill spells spoken against them. Because words are spelling. Every time someone talks shit on person number one, it's an energy they fight internally. I think person number one needs to hold their energetic vibration. And I think that person number two needs to believe their eyes. I think they need to believe their fortune. I think they need to trust themselves when they see the value of person number one and be like, nah, I can't let that go. I can't just walk away and pretend I never saw it. I can't just walk away and pretend I never saw the value of person number one. I don't think I'd ever forgive myself in hindsight, wondering what would have happened if I just picked it up and took it with me. You know what I mean? Like, what value would I have found if I just picked it up and took it? So what if everybody said it's a whole field of crystal? There's nothing valuable in there. It's just crystal. But I saw this value, right? There's a searing presence about person number one to person number two, that the value of person one is literally seared into person number two. They can't unwitness the value. They can't unwitness it. And I think there's a searing presence about person number two that person number one has been waiting for a really long time. I think person number two has been, I think person number one has been watching people walk by it for the longest time. I think person number one has been watching people just pass them by, calling them crystal for the longest time. And person number two stopped and noticed person number one. I don't think person number one remembers what it's like to be seen as special. I don't think person number one remembers what it's like to be seen as special. It's almost like they've been told they're so not special for so long that demon haunting them is trying to convince them it's true. You're not special. You're not special. You're crazy. But when person number two saw the value and the difference in person number one than everybody else, person number two seared their own presence in the heart of person number one. because they might be the first person that ever saw their actual value, saw their shine and their truth of value, and was admired and chosen. I think if person number 2 went and picked up person number 1 and claimed it for themselves, now I see the value in this and I'm taking it with me. It's mine. I'm not just going to leave it there. I can't. I think the blessings that person number 1 would give person number 2 are immeasurable. I think they're priceless. I think it's priceless. Person number 2 is going to have that I told you so to all the fucking voices in their head that were trying to convince them otherwise, or all the people in their life that were trying to deter them from it. Like, nah, it's just a fucking crystal. Let it go. Just let it go. Forget it. It's impossible. That's impossible. A diamond, that's impossible. It's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble of finding out its value. It's not worth carrying. It's not worth claiming. Fucking let it go. I think if person number 2 ends up picking up person number 1 and saying, fuck it, I'm taking it. It's mine. I'm claiming it. No one else can claim it. I'm claiming it. I'm taking it with me. I think the immense value that person number 1 holds for person number 2 is essentially immeasurable. I think it's just going to shine that much brighter. And I think the presence of the 2 of them together, once person number 1 realizes the person number 2 realizes the value of person number 1 is now rocking their diamond and flaunting their diamond, I think everybody's going to be hella fucking jealous. Wishing they fucking picked up that diamond. Wishing they were a fucking diamond. Everybody's going to be kicking themselves for not being smart enough, wise enough, in touch with their own fucking soul, heart and soul enough to pick up person number 1. And I think person number 1 is just so fucking grateful that they're not sitting in that field of crystal and that their value has actually been recognized and is being flaunted. That person number 2 is showing off and proud that they have that diamond. I think that diamond is gonna fucking shine like it ain't never shone before. For person number 2. Double Ace of Cups, the amount of overflowing love that person number 1 has is... it doesn't hold a comparison. So, with that said, if this message caught you in divine time, person number 1, please know your value. Don't forget your value. Don't forget you shine different. And person number 2, go get your diamond. Go get your diamond. Go experience what unconditional love really is, because no one else saw their value but you, and you deserve it. You deserve it, believe that. You deserve to be loved with the kind of love that person number 1 has for you, the gratitude that they have for you, for seeing them, and for treating them like they're special. They're going to treat you like you're special tenfold. She offers the sacred wine, so drink, right? Go get love drunk. Go get love drunk. high on love is the best high there is. So until next time, guys, this is Grace Nicole Myths, your divine rebel, signing off. Until next time, take care.